This week in tech news. Drones everywhere. In New Zealand, a drone for Domino's delivers a pizza. A first for the technology, due to Domino's asking and receiving the legal okay to deliver food via drone. Food delivery via drone made news last week when a man from Australia used a drone with a hook to steal a sausage from a vendor cart across his street.
Disney's Flixels flew high last weekend in a collaboration with Intel. Over 100 drones took flight at night to give a one-of-a-kind light show that is best described as fireworks in slow motion. Starting November 22nd, the drones will be making nightly appearances at Disney Springs as part of a nighttime show.
SpaceX just filed plans to launch 4,425 satellites, each roughly the size of a Mini Cooper, into low Earth orbit. Why? To provide 1 gigabit per second internet to the entire planet with less than 22 milliseconds of lag. The average speed of internet currently in the United States is just 5 megabits. So that's a 200 times faster internet speed. Both Google and Fidelity have also invested $1 billion into the project and will help provide the ground infrastructure.
Update news. Please update your Windows 10 and 7 installations, as a new exploit has been found and is being used by Russian hackers to put a violent strain of the CryptoLocker virus onto even new Windows installations. This is easy to avoid by just installing the latest Windows update, MS16-129, via the Windows Updater.
And now for our hands-on segment. This week, we'll replace a power supply. Jurgen's going to start by unplugging everything that the power supply is plugged into, including the 24-pin main connector to the motherboard. Those can come out quite stiff, so a little bit of force is necessary. Zip ties are also commonly used inside of computer cases to keep cabling neat and tidy, so you might want to keep a pair of snips on hand, and be careful to just cut the zip tie and not the wire. Now that should about do it, and after a last check to make sure that all the cables are unplugged, we're going to set those to the side as much as we can to keep them out of the way, and unscrew the power supply from the case. These are normal Phillips head screws, and they are in an asymmetric pattern, which means that it can only go in one way. So if your screws don't line up, when you put your new power supply in, turn your power supply around. And that's the fourth one. Alright, now grabbing both the cables and pushing from the back of the case, going to carefully pull the power supply out. And that's it. Now it's time to get a new one. Now here's our replacement power supply. We're just going to straighten out the cables here on the end and making sure we're still grounded with the case. Going to carefully place it back in. And now there's a little bracket on the inside of this case to hold the power supply at the right level. And there we go, it kind of just snugly fits in there. And we're going to put the screws back in. Now remember, if the screws don't line up, it's because your power supply isn't oriented the right way. So don't hesitate to rotate it around. Now these screws that we like to use on power supplies have both a hexagon head and a normal Phillips head adapter. Alright, as far as cabling is concerned, we've got our different plugs. They go to the different parts of the computer. They're generally shaped the way that the plugs are, so you don't have to worry about plugging the wrong thing into the wrong hole. I also like to try to keep them all organized. These are the CPU plugs. They provide power to the main processor. We just tuck those in right at the top, between the top of the motherboard and the power supply. That is the 24-pin connector. That provides power to everything else on the motherboard. We get that snugly in there. Want to listen for that click. and we're just going to tuck the rest of those cables behind the case. Now, as far as the Molex ones, we need those at the front of the case, so we're going to wire that to the back. These ones right here, those are SATA, and yep, the plug is labeled. And that's going to go right to that DVD drive by Jurgen's right hand. I'm going to plug that in, and it'll only go in one way. There's a little notch on the corner. The SATA cable also goes to a hard drive. Hard drives and DVD players for SATA use the same type of connector. It's that long, flat one. Alright, making sure everything's neat and pretty, we're going to turn the case around now. And here's on the other side of the case, there's those Molex connectors we weaved through before. Now, well, normally we'd thread it through this way, but we see a lot of people putting it over the top of metal brackets like this. Don't do that. That will pinch the cable between the side of the case and that metal bracket. So always keep it where there's the most room, which is under that bracket there. We plug in the front fans, Molex, 4 pins. They can be a little tricky to plug in, but we just tuck that nice and snug, making sure that everything won't move around when we put the side back on. And there we go. Now we just make sure all the cables are tucked away nice and neat in order to promote good airflow throughout the case. Also want to make sure that the CPU fan is clear and that there's no wires or anything else sticking into it. That will cause major problems. Likewise, you want to make sure that the power supply is clear of cabling and generally that things aren't free to move around. Zip ties are your friend. And we're going to put the side back on, and congratulations, you've just replaced the power supply.
But wait, there's more! Our free Windows 10 seminar will take place December 14th, 2016. What time, Jurgen?
6:30 to 8 o'clock.
Excellent! And what will we learn there?
Obviously about Windows 10 and the features that it has and all the nice things you can do with it. We hope you'll see you then.
And if people want to show up, what do they have to do to register for this amazing seminar?
Call us at our number at 567-7888 or email us at info@actcomp.us. That's info@actcomp.us. Thank you.
Excellent! We'll see you all next week.
Bye-bye.
What can we do to help you?